route operated by MTA Bus Company on Vernon Boulevard between Astoria and Hunters Point in Queens. To make the public aware of this hearing, an advertisement was published in the Daily News, Newsday, the New York Times, the Journal News, the Poughkeepsie Journal, the Daily Challenge, the Amsterdam News, El Dario, and notices of the hearings were posted on MTA's website and bilingual signs on stations, buses, and trains, and mailed to area elected officials and other interested parties. The MTA's website, MTA.info, describes these proposals in detail and includes tables of proposed fares for the MTA's commuter railroads, the Long Island Railroad, and Metro North Railroad, as well as for the MTA bridges and tunnels proposed crossing charges. Details of these proposals are available for your information at tables outside this hearing room. Look for these brochures where you may also ask our staff questions and fill out comment forms. Customers are also encouraged to submit written comments via our website or by mail to Casey Morgan at the MTA, 2 Broadway, 4th floor, New York, New York, 10004. The staff at tables outside can also provide you with that address. If you have written comments that you would like to submit this evening, you may hand them to an usher or drop them off at the information table. This proceeding is not an open question and answer session. The members of the MTA Board of Directors and staff are here to listen to what members of the public have to say about the proposals, so that the public comments are taken into account prior to the final decisions being made by the MTA Board on the proposals. So the board members will be listening, not commenting. However, there is expert staff, as I said, at the tables outside to take and answer questions and provide information on the proposed service, fare, and toll changes. All spoken comments presented tonight, all correspondence, all emails that we receive, and all comment cards will be incorporated into the official hearing record. Cards will be incorporated in the official hearing record and reviewed by the MTA Board prior to its vote on the proposals. In addition to the hearing, and in effect to provide additional opportunities for the public to comment, the MTA is holding 4 satellite sessions at which the public comments may be videotaped. These videotaped remarks will also be transcribed and entered into the record that will be reviewed by the board. The dates and locations of the satellite sessions are also available at the tables and in the brochure. For the record, today's date is December 1st, 2014. The time is 5:12, and the hearing site is Hostos Center for the Arts and Culture in the main theater at 450 Grand Concourse in the Bronx. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly explain the procedures for tonight's public hearing. First, I will call the names of the people who have registered to speak in order in which they registered. This could include persons who registered online or by mail, or who registered in person tonight. If you wish to speak today but have not signed up, please fill out a registration form before 8 p.m. when we will stop taking registrations. For those who have pre-registered to speak either by telephone or on our website, if you haven't already, we ask that you sign in at the table for pre-registrants, which is located outside the room, so we know that you are with us tonight. I will be calling out names in groups of 2 or 3 registered speakers. When I call your name, please hold up the yellow registration card that you received until the usher can escort you to the podium. I'll call your names in the order in which you registered. When you approach the microphone, please provide us with your name and state your affiliation that you may wish to announce. So that we may hear from all interested people tonight, and so we can be fair to all, please ensure that your remarks not exceed 3 minutes. The clock below will indicate how much time you have remaining, and when you have spoken for 2.5 minutes, a light will flash and you should begin to conclude your comments. Remember, if you run out of time, you may submit your complete written testimony to supplement your oral testimony. This hearing site is accessible to people who are mobility impaired, and sign language interpreter services are available, and your comments will be interpreted. This public hearing is being video recorded and will appear on the MTA website within 1 week from today at mta.info under the section titled About the MTA. Seated next to me are board members and senior staff of the MTA. I'd like to introduce them. To my right, Fernando Ferrer, Vice Chairman, Neil Zuckerman, Polly Trottenberg, and John Banks. To my left, Carmen Bianco, President of New York City Transit, Joe Giletti, President of Metro North Railroad, Daryl Irick, President of MTA Bus Company. Don Spiro, MTA Bridges and Tunnels. Tom Prendergast, the Chairman of the Board and MTA CEO, is currently attending a similar hearing in Manhattan. Okay, I will begin calling the first registered speakers. First, we have Ramon Cabral, followed by Mr. X, and then George Carva. Yeah.
Mr. Cabral decides not to comment.
Mr. X, followed by George Carva, followed by Louis Bailey.
It's on, Gus. It's on.
I can't stop you from increasing the fares and tolls, but I think there's something you should consider. Consider how the MTA Police Department treated me over the years, particularly at 340 and Madison Avenue. They went as far as rummaging through my possessions with or without gloves, which is inappropriate. They went as far as using a bomb-sniffing dog to search my possessions, which I felt was inappropriate. I complained to Douglas Sussman and Ellis Sander about that, and I didn't get a response. It's been 2 years since the MTA Police Department deactivated my first reduced fare Metro card because, according to them, I committed a crime 340 and Madison, a crime they never proved I committed to begin with. And as a result, I had to appear at 100 Center Street 5 times. Okay? Why are they still in active duty? I was told no MTA employees are authorized to deactivate my reduced fare Metro card. So could you please explain to me why they're still in active duty? And let's not forget, also in 2012, June 12th, the day before one of my sisters turned 40, you held a public hearing at the Fashion Technology Institute. And what did the MTA Police Department do? They stopped me from testifying at that public hearing. Because according to them, the MTA board members, B-O-R-E-D, had a restrainer against me. Why didn't they serve me a copy? That's common courtesy. If they had a restrainer against me, I should have received a copy. And they had the nerve to tell me if I enter the auditorium, I'll be arrested for trespassing. I didn't get a response. November 19, 2008, you held a board meeting in 340 Madison area. The MTA Police Department assaulted Carl Sabata, a private citizen like myself. And what happened? He was arrested and charged for disorderly conduct, even though they assaulted him. Why are they still in active duty? Okay? Speaking registration was supposed to start at 4. Do you know what time they let us in? 4:18. Do you know how to tell time? Because if you don't, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't say speaking registration will start at 4 and then let us in whenever the hell you feel like it. That's not very swift. But if you want to continue your nasty onslaught against me, that's fine. Don't be surprised. Well, in fact, don't complain to me if I put your business in the street. Okay? I don't appreciate that. Another thing I don't appreciate, you're holding 2 public hearings simultaneously. You know how many times you did this in the last 10 years? Several times. You did this several times in the last 10 years, effective November 2004. First, it was Ellis Sander. Second, it was Jay Walder. Third, it was Joe Loda. Fourth was Tom Prendergast.
Mr. X, could you sum up your comments, please?
I'm summing up right now, Mr. Zuckerman. You know what your problem is? You're too busy playing father leader like Eric B. and Rakim.
Mr. X, could you sum up your comments? You can submit the rest of your comments in writing.
If you stop interrupting me, I can sum up. Now, you want me to sum up, or you want to interrupt me?
Mr. Ellis, your time is up.
Oh, thank you for bulldozing me.
Next, we have George Carva, followed by Lewis Bailey.
I must compliment your board for being so generous and having a female and an African American up there. That's very nice. Bravo. I'm calling because I live in this neighborhood on Woody Crest Avenue. My family, from 64 years, we've been living up since 1950 up on Woody Crest, when we had a bus on Woody Crest Avenue. Now, what's going on, I take the number 13 bus on River Avenue and 156th Street, or something like that, because it gets too crowded by the Yankee Stadium. It's just really packed. So when the bus goes to pick up the people on 161st Street at the stadium, they open the back door, 40 or 50 people run right in and fill all the seats. All the people in the front that are waiting to put the transfer cards or pay their fare cannot get a seat or even get in there, because every bus that comes around rush hour, and I had called you guys at the number that is available about putting a police officer there. The police officer are only 3 or 4 at every station, subway station. No transit police are ever in a bus stop. And you're losing about maybe 300 people a day going up Ogden Avenue. And that's a lot of money. And I said to that guy, the bus driver, I said, you guys are gonna, when the MTA meets together, we're gonna get screwed, because you guys are gonna charge us for that, for not taking care of the back. And it's probably all over the Bronx that everybody's getting on the Bronx, not paying the fare. And here you guys are saying, well, we have to give you an increase. Crap, that's total crap. Take care of business first, because if you don't do that now, it's going to continue, and we'll be here next year with you guys. Another thing, some doctor made a PID on River Avenue from 161st to the stores, and he has this crappy stuff once a month, closes the street. There is no sign from the MTA saying, oh, we are alternating, we don't go down River Avenue, we have to go to the Grand Caucus to 149 and down to River Avenue, which is nonsense. He makes a lot of people out of the way. If you still got to go to the store, you got 20 or 30 stores that are not getting any business, because you guys giving this guy the authority to close the street, and he should be in front of the Yankee Stadium from 161st Street to 163 or 4, whatever, right in front of the stadium where there's no game. They could do a street fair every weekend if they wanted, but leave River Avenue going down to 149 alone. And this is up to you guys to take care of that, unless you're getting some free pretzels from these people, you know. So please, stop asking for raise. Take care of all that money that's going into the for free on the buses, and leave all poor people, or senior citizens, alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carva.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Lewis Bailey, followed by Debra Nelson, followed by Donovan White.
Good evening. As a transit advocate, I believe transit should embody 4 core principles. It should be safe, it should be reliable, it should be accessible, and it should be affordable. Today I'm only going to speak on 2. The affordability. We know transit fare hikes, they impact communities of color more than any other population in the city. The last time you raised the fare, you not only raised the fare, but you cut the service. You can't have it both ways. I'm in favor at this point to keep the base fare at the same price it is. If it goes up for the weekly and the monthly, okay, we can't have both, okay? We have to have something. You can't continually raise the fare and not provide service for the people that ride it the most. Lastly, accessibility. All your core major capital projects are being done in Manhattan. We have the 2nd Avenue subway. We just have the recently completed Fulton project. We have the extension to the 7th train. We have enough capital projects. What about the outer boroughs? I live in the Bronx. Co-op City and the Soundview area are deserts for transit, where you have to take a bus to a train. Same for the Rockaways. Lastly, One of the board members made a comment that I thought was a slap in the face to transit riders. You're going to say that backpacks are causing an impact on transit, it's causing overcrowding? Mr. Mulder, he made that comment. Backpacks do not cause overcrowding. The transit ridership right now is at an all-time high. That's what's causing it. And until you increase the service, which probably what you could do is extend the early morning rush hours and late hours, maybe you can do something about that. But to tell the people that you want to ban backpacks and that's the cause of overcrowding, I'm sure everybody on their board, that is not tolerable. It is totally idiotic to make a statement like that. So again, I'll just close with this because my time is up. If you want to keep the base fare, fine, but provide the service that the people that ride the transit provide the service that they so deserve and they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Next, we have Debra Nelson, followed by Donovan White, followed by Christopher Grief.
I'm Debra C. Nelson. I belong to several organizations. I'm an activist as well, but I'm from Co-op City African American Society. Raising the fare on the backs of the working class and the poor riders again is never the answer. The MTA system is broke with mismanagement of funds and corruption. Every time the city gives workers a little tiny raise, the MTA comes up with, oh, we gotta raise the fare. Y'all don't have to raise the fare, you need to stop stealing the fare. And that's what happens. The number 542 and 38 bus in Co-op City is lousy. Every time y'all go up on stuff, we get poor service, very poor, especially in our communities, and we're tired of it and we're not gonna take it anymore, even if we have to boycott. 2 questions for anybody to answer. My concern is seniors, people who are disabled, and our children who have to use it. I use it on a regular basis because I have to work and go to school. Y'all do random conversation with people who use it once in a while. I use it every day. One of the questions that I would like answered is, because of mismanagement of funds and corruption, why should we have an MTA system, period? The second question is, who capitalizes on these increases? And I'll sit down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Next, we have Donovan White, followed by Christopher Grief.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Are they going to answer any questions? No, they're here with us.
Okay. Yes, good evening, hello. And the only face I recognize is Mr. Fernando Ferrer. Hello, sir. Thank you. A couple of things is, I'd like to, whether you say it now or you say it in some publication interview later, the radio contract that was proposed, I read about last year for the MTA, was the bidder selected? Because I know the company that did City Time for New York City, I think it was Science Application International Corp. I wonder which company was selected. I hope it wasn't that company that received a $63 million contract in 2000, and 10 years later the contract, the over budget ran was $700 million and still counting. In addition, does the MTA have a report from October to March of the Long Island Railroad, I'm sorry, the Metro North use for Yankee Stadium? Because for years, citizens of the Bronx for decades have been asking for an elevator at the train station right here on 149th Street, and to place a Metro North station that is truly only active during from April to September and April to October if the Yankees are in vogue, was really I found to be racist, especially when most of the Yankee fans who go to the stadiums are European Americans, whereas most of the subway users in this community are Latin American, African Americans. And not to have placed that money for an elevator, because to go from the at 149th Street from the number 2 to the number 5 train and walk up all those steps, and then you have people who are invalid, people who are injured, people who can't walk as fast as with much motion. I found it to be very racist. And so a report should be issued out, the ridership of the Metro North. All that money was spent to haul riders from Westchester down Connecticut and elsewhere in New York State and Connecticut for the Yankees game from April through September, possibly October, to find out how's that ridership once baseball season is over. Again, I found it to be very racist. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Yes.
We now have Christopher Grief, followed by Lizette Colon.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, I'm Christopher Greif. I cause grief, as Bianco. I am from New York City Transit Riders Council. Unfortunately, I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm here in the Bronx because I do travel all the boroughs as a person with development disabilities. New York City Transit, which you already, other members are traveling around the boroughs and passing this information. And Andy, this is for you. Which is a testimony that Mr. Andy Igsby has in front of him. We'll give you a copy of everything. If I explain everything, we'll be here till tomorrow. But as I said before, the Transit Riders Council has asked to please keep the fare to $2.50 and the half fare for the $1.25 because some of us cannot get, some of the people in the community cannot afford to go up a dime or go in the near future go up to $2. It's very difficult right now. And as other boroughs, if people have already said, it's very hard to travel between trains to buses where there are not enough ADA compliance in the boroughs. And it's very hard because ridership, it has increased. Some of us did take the 4 train today, was really high crowded. I'm surprised we can all breathe on the train, which I know the air was on, thank you. But as the Transit Riders Council, we ask for to keep the standing fare at $2.50. Please also the cost of the time base of the Metro card, that more information, when you're mentioning in your book, it does not mention enough about the senior or disabled. If it's going up, how much? Like if it goes up $2.75, or we're going up to $1.35. There needs to be a little more information on that. And also, if we are going to be getting any other transportation coming in the near future, but buses, please can remind everyone to please, safety is a matter to us because we don't want to get hit when the bus is not in the bus stop or the middle of the street. As I said before, the proposal, we ask to please keep proposal number 2, which is the $2.50 and the $1.25. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Colon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. I also recognize Freddy Ferrer. I'm a counselor here. I have been working at Hostos for 32 years. And for 32 years, I have been taking the subway. And I get off in 149th Street Station, and that is what welcomes me and says goodbye to me every day. I know that last year we went through a renovation, and some of the things were taken care of. They try to clean and they fix some of the platforms, and that is fine. Some of the steps also fine, but we still are missing a very important element, and that is the elevator that was there at one point, and because of budget cuts many years ago, it was taken away. I echo the sentiment and the urgency of claim of the so many people that are disabled, that are elderly. We have very nearby Michelangelo Housing Complex, which is filled with senior citizens. We have Lincoln Hospital, which also has patients, and I wish that you were here one day. Just come one day, not only for a hearing, and just sit down there and see the people that is so difficult for them to come up the stairs from the number 2 and number 5 and go all the way up to get the services that they need. Besides that, you will also see people that go to the homeless shelter with their families 24 hours a day, pulling their strollers up, and the kids just taking turns with the people that help them. We have also students here who are disabled, and they have to wait for the bus or the access ride if it shows, and then they can come to classes. We also have faculty members. We also have staff people that are elderly and also that are disabled, and it's very difficult for us to make it here. Besides the fact that we do not have an elevator, I would like to say that it's a racist thing, because I live in Chelsea and I see the difference. Whenever I go to stations in Manhattan, they don't look like we belong to the same city. They keep talking about the tale of two cities. We have been living it every single day. The people that work in the Bronx and that live in the Bronx, they do see the difference in terms of the services that they receive. I would like to see also that don't give us only a retouch of the station and put us all white tiles like if we are in a hospital. This is a hub station. This is a very important station. And I wish that besides putting a sign that says historic pathways, I want it to shine like a historic hub. And it doesn't even have even a single piece of art. And I even had a conversation one day, a candor conversation with Freddie Ferrer, maybe he doesn't remember, in one of the rides, and he advised me to just keep pushing for this, and I'm keep pushing for this to happen, to have art in our station. Why shouldn't we? The station of 149th Street looks like it's supposed to look, like one of the most important stations of the city of New York. So please, don't talk about raising more fair if you don't treat us fairly. And I wish that you don't come here only to tell us we're going to raise the fare when even CUNY doesn't have a contract for the past 4 years. So people that even have a job don't have a raise for the past 4 years. How can you dare to come here and ask us to keep paying more when we don't even have a raise? So let's have a real conversation.
Could you wrap up your
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, there are no further public speakers. I would remind the public, if you would like to comment this evening, to please sign up at the registration table outside. Seeing there are no further public speakers at this time, it is 5:35, and we will take a recess. Thank you. If everybody could take their seats, we're going to resume tonight's public hearing. My name is Tim Ellis, and I am the MTA's Director of State Legislative Affairs. I will be serving as hearing officer for tonight's public hearing. If you bear with me, I would like to read a lengthy statement for the record and some instructions on how to conduct the hearing. This hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the proposed changes in fares, tolls, and charges affecting transportation on MTA subways and buses, the commuter railroads, 9 bridges and tunnels, and the Staten Island Railroad. The hearing also provides the opportunity for the public to comment on the MTA's proposal to permanently establish weekend service and expand weekday evening service on the Q103 local bus route operated by the MTA Bus Company on Vernon Boulevard between Astoria and Hunters Point in Queens. To make the public aware of this hearing, an advertisement was published in the Daily News, Newsday, the New York Times, the Journal News, the Poughkeepsie Journal, the Daily Challenge, the Amsterdam News, El Dario, and notices of the hearing were posted on the MTA's website and bilingual signs on stations, buses, trains, and mailed to area elected officials and other interested parties. The MTA's website, mta.info, describes these proposals in detail, includes tables of proposed fares for the MTA's commuter railroads, the Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroad, as well as for the MTA bridges and tunnels proposed crossing charges. Details of these proposals are available from the information tables outside these hearing rooms. Look for this brochure where you also can ask our staff questions or fill out a comment form. Customers are encouraged to submit written comments via the website or by mail to Casey Morgan at the MTA, 2 Broadway, 4th floor, New York, New York, 10004. The staff at the tables outside can also provide you with that address. If you have written comments that you would like to submit this evening, you may hand them to an usher or drop them off at the information tables. This proceeding is not an open question and answer session. The members of the MTA Board of Directors and staff are here to listen to what members of the public have to say about the proposals, so that the public comments are taken into account prior to the final decisions being made by the MTA Board on the proposals. So board members will be listening, not commenting. However, there is expert staff, as I said, at the tables outside to take and answer questions and provide information on the proposed services, fare, and toll charges. All spoken comments presented tonight, all correspondence, all emails that we receive, and all comment cards will be incorporated in the official hearing record and reviewed by the MTA Board prior to its vote on the proposals. In addition to the hearing, and in an effort to provide additional opportunities for the public to comment, the MTA is holding 4 satellite sessions at which public comments may be videotaped. These videotaped remarks will also be transcribed and entered into the record that will be reviewed by the board. The dates and locations of the satellite sessions are also available at the tables and in the brochure. For the record, today's date is December 1st, 2014. The time is 6:26 p.m. and the hearing site is Hostos Center for the Arts and Culture in the main theater at 450 Grand Concourse in the Bronx. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly explain the procedures for tonight's public hearing. First, I will call the names of people who have registered to speak in order in which they registered. This could include persons who registered online or by mail, or who registered in person tonight. If you wish to speak today but have not signed up, please fill out the registration form before 8 p.m. when we will stop taking registrations. For those who have pre-registered to speak either by telephone or on our website, if you haven't already, we ask that you sign in at the table for pre-registrants, which is located outside the room, so we know that you're with us tonight. I'll be calling the names in groups of 2 or 3 registered speakers. When I call your name, please hold up the yellow registration card that you received until an usher can escort you to the podium. I'll then call your names in the order in which you registered. When you approach the microphone, please provide us with your name and state any affiliation that you may wish to announce, so that we may hear from all the interested people tonight, and so we can be fair to all. Please ensure that your remarks not exceed 3 minutes. The clock below will indicate how much time you have remaining, and when you have spoken for 2.5 minutes, a light will flash and you should begin to conclude your comments. Remember, if you run out of time, you may submit your complete written testimony to supplement your oral testimony. This hearing site is accessible to people with mobility impaired, and sign language interpreter services are available, and your comments will be interpreted. This public hearing is a video recorded and will appear on the MTA's website within 1 week from today at mta.info under the section titled About the MTA. Seated next to me are board members and senior staff of the MTA. I'd like to introduce them. To my right is Fernando Ferrer, Vice Chairman, Neil Zuckerman, Polly Trottenberg, and Jonathan Banks. To my left is Carmen Bianco, President of New York City Transit, President of Metro North Railroad, Joe Giletti, President of MTA Bus Company, Daryl Eyrich, and Don Spiro, MTA Bridges and Tunnels. Thomas Prendergast, our Chairman and CEO, is currently attending a similar hearing in Manhattan. Okay, I'll start by the first registered speaker. Sam Goodman, representative of Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz, followed by David Gerber, followed by Saren Thrasher.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Goodman, and on behalf of Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., I am pleased to offer the following statement concerning the proposed fare increase being considered by the MTA. New York City's buses, subways, and railroads are a testament to the vision and foresight of those who advocated for their construction nearly 1 century ago. Indeed, in 1918, when a majority of our subway lines first entered the Bronx, most of the borough consisted of farms and small homes. Only 10 years later, much of what we know now as our Bronx was constructed as 530,000 people chose to make the Bronx their home. Today, it is our obligation to ensure that these services continue and are properly maintained. To do otherwise is to risk an asset that we simply cannot ever afford to reconstruct. It is well understood that those who most heavily rely on our city's mass transit services are those whose incomes are modest and whose working hours are long. Therefore, I am most concerned that any fare increase will cause additional hardship. I contend that if the Bronx and indeed our region is to continue to grow and employment options are to be made more accessible, the cost for the transit services that make this possible must remain affordable. Despite the difficult funded situation currently facing the MTA, the economic realities of my borough's constituents compel me to oppose any transit fare increase. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for considering these remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have David Gerber, followed by Saren Thrasher.
Thank you, sir.
Followed by Enrique Colon.
Thanks. Okay, don't worry. Thanks. Good evening. My name is David Paul Gerber, private citizen and blog of newly formed Gerber's World. The speaker went off. I'm calling with attention to what the MTA does. They're so quick in trying to do a fare increase. It may be a hardship for others, but the MTA should look, the MTA, specifically New York City Transit, should look at their own operations. I don't think they are competent enough to even follow or correct any mistake, because sometimes the mistakes can take years involved. Just about 10 days ago, on November 18th, New York City Transit President Carmen Bianco and elected officials were introducing new ADA elevators. You were probably there at Hunts Point Avenue Station on the 6th line. None of you guys noticed there that there's 2 signs there that had wrong information. One of them was a BX54, which was discontinued in 1990. The other is BX45, which is shown at the fare control exit at the main booth, which nobody had ever noticed. Similarly, neighborhood maps in the Bronx, despite Paul Flanger's contention back in August that they're updated, are a atrocity. They have maps, they have Prospect Hospital, which was closed in 1984. They have the Bronx House of Detention, which was closed in 2000, is now a mall. Similarly, New York City Transit withholds service information, does not make, and continues to make lies themselves. One of the basic lies that they don't post on the MTA website nor on the timetable is that certain 5 trains that are running from the Manhattan to New Reed Avenue in the PM rush are discharged at Gun Hill Road after running nonstop from East 180th Street. While this is a nice service change that was similar to the 4 Burnside, the MTA and New York City Transit do not post this information on the timetable, nor they state as such. Similarly, during a cold weather plan, the MTA refuses to let customers know that because after a snowstorm where service must return to normal, 5 trains cannot come out from the subway yard at onto New Reed Avenue because all the trains are stored underground coming from the mill track. This is an important service change which New York City Transit knowingly withholds themselves. Similarly, at Gun Hill Road, one of the PA service information centers are reversed The uptown the Wakefield side is on the opposite side of the Flatbush Avenue bound side. Announcements are also atrocious. They tell that New York City Transit select bus service, you can transfer there at 11 o'clock at night when it stops running after 9 p.m. New York City Transit must have their operations looked at or look for new work elsewhere. If they don't know how, it's like a package. If you see something, say something. Fix it.
Thank you, Mr. Gerber.
Stop lying. Want me to take that paper? Yeah, might as well. Thanks.
Next, we have Saren Thrasher, followed by Enrique Colon.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Enrique Colon, and I'm a member of the South Bronx Community Congress. The South Bronx Community Congress is a coalition of many different organizations, faith-based institutions, workers, and residents of the South Bronx. We work on many of the local issues that affect the most vulnerable populations of our local communities. We demand that the MTA does not raise the bus and train fare once again in 2015. Most New York City residents can't afford another fare hike. Poor and low-income communities especially suffer the most when these fare hikes go into effect every couple of years. Many people in our communities are underemployed or unemployed, in which the borough of the Bronx has the highest numbers. This makes it even more difficult for people to have enough money to eat, pay their bills, and use public transportation on a daily basis. How come the MTA has money to fund so many large projects and can use some of that money to balance their own budget and not resort to raising the fare every 2 years? It's becoming increasingly unbearable and extremely unaffordable to live in New York City. Do you know how many times I and many other New Yorkers swipe our Metro cards to allow other people to use the subway system because they don't have enough money to get to and from their desired destinations? How about almost every day, in my case? The South Bronx Community Congress also demands that the MTA fund the reinstallation of elevators at the 149th Street Grand Concourse train station. If there was enough money to fund the new Fulton Mall train station project, how come monies can't be found to place 2 elevators or more at this train station? Seniors, disabled persons, including veterans, students from Hostos, right here, parents with small children, and pregnant women have suffered long enough by not having these vital elevator services restored in over 30 years. Why has this key train station hub in the South Bronx been neglected for so long? Thousands of people travel through the station every day. There are many institutions, businesses, and multi-dwelling developments that utilize this station, including where we're at right now: Hostos Community College, Lincoln Medical Hospital, Pergonis Theater, the infamous Giovanni's Restaurant, the 149th Street Bronx General Post Office, and the Michelangelo Apartments, which houses 494 residents, just to name a few. It's time for the MTA to do the right thing by saying no to any more fare hikes and saying yes to elevators here at the 149th Street Grand Concourse train station. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colon.
Sure.
Next, we have Renee Jones.
Good evening, all. My name is Renee C. Jones. I'm a Bronx, New York resident, 10462. I am a city teacher in the Bronx also. I want to say that I love my city and I appreciate the MTA. I love the buses that run when they run correctly. So I have to ask a question for you to ponder. Are you willing to give me $15.95? You may say no, but that's what I was asked yesterday evening. The machine took my $15.95 and did not credit me. And when I went to the token booth clerk, he said, oh, he handed me an envelope. They will contact you in the future. If you're not willing to give each citizen $15.95, why are you asking me to supplement your budget?
Bravo.
Fare increases. I think we need to fix what's going on first. Let's cut the waste. Look at what's going on. Let's look at our scheduling. On the weekends, we don't have as many trains and buses, but you want the same fare. Let's get $1 off of that because we have less trains and buses. Let's think about that, and we can do it. The banana buses need to stop. I take the 4A, I appreciate the 4A, but when I want to go to 163rd Street and come back to Parkchester, it takes 40 minutes. Are you encouraging bus ridership? Or are you discouraging bus ridership? We have to do better. Now, am I willing to pay the increase if the buses run effectively? Yes, I think we appreciate it. I'm able to travel throughout my city, and that's why I came back. I lived in 3 major metropolitan cities: New York, New Orleans, Chicago. And guess what? We do it best, and we could do it better. So let's look at that. And I really want to encourage, if you're going to do this increase, let's bring back those day passes. I would love to go to the city when I'm off, just to go here, there, and everywhere. I thought that was an awesome idea. I know they did it in Chicago. If we're going to copy Chicago, let's copy them all the way. And I would like to say again, let's think of all when we think about these increases. I have to agree with the speakers before us. We're not getting raises like that. They're telling us to hold on, hold back. Teachers are getting their retroactive completed in 2020, okay? 2016, I should say. Really? Oh, let's do better. But I would like to thank you for having these hearings, and maybe next time, have them in the schools where more people could come out in each local school district. You'll have a great evening.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Next, we have Juan Castillo.
Is this mic working? All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me over. I've come here to speak to you all about the outrage of this propaganda we like to call fare hikes. This kind of trouble has been making every single rider's lives feel miserable for so many years, and I, for one, in fact, just had enough of this bullcrap, pardon my language. I believe that we all deserve to take a break from all the fare increases we had over the years, especially the toll hikes. As I looked at this chart, recently the Verrazano Narrows Bridge has been taking tolls coming into Staten Island with the prices up to $15 or more. Probably the proposed one for $16. While the other side going to Brooklyn, it doesn't affect you. You just drive to Brooklyn. Basically, they only take tolls when coming into Staten Island. I'm hoping that we had enough of this. And basically, what the last speaker said, I agree with her. We had enough of the fare hikes. I say we just leave it as it is, and that we can put all this past fare hikes behind us. Also, I'd like to bring in mind that there is a service change happening in Queens. The Q103 now being, excuse yourself, now being served to run weekday evening and all weekend long. On Saturdays and Sundays, southbound trips will operate every 30 minutes between 7:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., with northbound trips heading back to Astoria 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Weekday evenings will begin to operate with between 7:30 and 9 p.m. We know that they were introduced on an experimental basis this past summer, and hopefully we would like to keep that one permanent so that we can serve the Queens residents that live in Long Island City and Astoria. That way they can take the Q103 to the F at 21st Street Queensbridge and to the 7 at Vernon Jackson. That way they don't have to spend countless time on weekday evenings and weekends taking other buses to the subway, which wastes a lot of time. And speaking of service changes, I have a few of them coming up in my mind, and I hope to share with you all when this meeting's in recess or adjourned. And in conclusion, I hope for once we don't have serve any fare hikes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Next, we have Saren Thrasher.
Good evening. Okay, I'm agree with this sign first, the elevator. Okay, we're supposed to have a lot of elevators, especially right here at Grand Concourse. Okay, I hurt myself. That's not including people who have wheelchairs and everybody else who has walkers and need to get back and forth. This is the most major area in the world, like Fulton Street, like y'all designed Fulton Street so beautifully. Just take some of the time. You gotta redo Grand Concourse, like Fulton. Just put the elevator in there, okay? And all these high rises, these steps over in the Bronx, that it takes people 10 years to go up and down those steps. You have a lot of elderly people in that area that needs elevators. So we can stop helping out the people who come visit us from out of the country to make them say, oh, New York looks so good. We went to Fulton and it looks so beautiful, all this glass. Put some elevators over there in the Bronx. That's one. That help out a lot of people. That's probably why you don't have too many wheelchairs here to this meeting to discuss this. One, this increase, right now, I used to work for MTA. I used to be a traffic checker. So basically, I know how everything really kind of works off and on. You send us out there to do the surveys, okay? But I am not homeless. I do get my money to get on the trains, but it's not. You make it hard, whereas I'm having a hard time finding a job. So therefore, it'll be hard for me to travel back and forth to find a job, because MTA gives a bad background on me for some unknown reason. That's another story. But you're making it very hard for hardworking people to get back and forth. I have 7 children. It's very hard to get them back and forth to work, to school, because you keep increasing, okay? You're not gonna I mean, are y'all gonna take a cut where you don't get increased your paychecks for at least, what is it, 1 year to help us? And if you would push these people who do not pay, okay, like the helpers, they help the wheelchairs, there's a rule, they're supposed to pay. I had to argue with a lady one day, miss, you're supposed to be paying too. No, I ain't. Increase the people who's supposed to pay. You're not going after people who's supposed to pay, but you're making everybody else pay for them. Okay, that's a rule. Push those rules. You got to, and one more thing before I get in this too, because there's a lot of things I want to tell you, but I don't have time at the moment. This cold bus, every bus is freezing half to death because somebody in the big time is telling the drivers to tell us that you have this is climate control. If it's 0 below outside, it is not 0 below on the bus. But it's freezing on the bus. It'd be freezing outside. Come on. I already know you can cut the heat on. You cut the heat on and off. I had to argue with dispatcher. Why do you have it, you making us pay more money and we're freezing half to death on the trains? We're freezing half to death on the buses. That makes no sense.
Ms. Thrasher, could you wrap up your remarks?
Yeah. Just act like you don't have all the money in your pocket to ride freely and think about us for change. or for 1 month, ride with us on the trains and see how it feels.
Thank you, Ms. Thrasher. At this time, there are no more further public speakers. I'd remind the public again, if you'd like to make comments tonight, to please register at the table out front. The time is 6:50, and we will take a recess. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats, we're going to resume the public hearing on proposed fare increases and crossing charges. The time is 7:25, and we are at Hostos Center for the Arts and Culture, Main Theater, 450 Grand Concourse, Bronx, New York. Our next public speaker is Ed Figueroa, followed by Diane Robinson.
I gotta help you with some of these terms. Thank you, sir. Just speak into the mic, okay? Thank you very much.
Good evening. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Figueroa, Bronxite. I just want to say a quick few words and hope that they resonate with you guys. First off, just because you see the place is half empty, one of the main reasons is that this is a working class community. And most of those people that are not here this evening would rather be here because when you take choices like the ones that you're going to take tonight or in the following weeks, you disrupt a lot of lives, whether it's a quarter, a dime, or 15 cents. So in the absence of those people, I like to say that, you know, if we connect the dots of the high rents, the collateral damage of the kids paying fines and the stop and frisk, and along with this increase, you know, there's a lot of disruption that's going to happen collectively with that situation. So I hope that, like I said, that the fact that there are not that many people here or that it's empty here, that it resonates that the people that would rather be here are here because of the economic challenges that they're going through this evening and right now. So I'm sure, you know, I know that you guys are connected with the state, so I hope that you speak to the governor and you express to him that the South Bronx in particular, and this part of the Bronx, that we feel that we're being economically challenged, and that there is a economic racism in this community as well, that that this issue of this increase, you know, does resonate as long, not just with the MTA, but along with the governor's office as well. You know, because just like you guys seem to be absent most of the time, the only times you're here is when you're asking for money. Just like the governor's here when he's looking for votes. So we hope that in this instance that the issue does resonate, and like I said, and that, you know, you take to heart that because the place is not empty, that they don't give a fuck about what the fuck you guys are doing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Diane Robinson.
Thank you very much. Just speak into the mic, okay?
Okay. My name is Diane Robinson. I'm kind of emotional right now because between paying high rents, trying to feed my family, it's very difficult for me and my child. I work for the Department of Education, and I fear being homeless. But on top of that, this fare hike, how do you expect us to pay this? I mean, do you guys care? We are suffering. We are suffering. People, poor working class people and just poor people, we are suffering. We are tired. We can't continue. They're cutting everything. Okay. And you know what? The people in the Bronx, we are good, decent people here. They talk about the Bronx. They say the Bronx is this and that in a negative way. No. There's a lot of good people in the Bronx. But this fare hike is going to really affect me. My rent just went up. Come next year, I may be faced with being homeless. I work for the city. My child goes to college. Okay. He wants to become a scientist. That's his dream and his goal. If we become homeless, it's going to be very difficult for us to achieve a lot of those. It's going to be difficult for him to achieve a lot of those, the things that he wants to achieve. He will do it, but when you don't have a roof over your head, it's difficult. And a fare hike, that's more of a burden on us as New Yorkers. So please think it through, okay? I feel as though you guys have the money, but you want to just put a chokehold on us. It's not right. Think it over. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, there are no more further public speakers registered. I'd like to remind the public that registration is open till 8 o'clock. If you'd like to make comments for the official record this evening, please sign up at the tables outside. The time is 7:30. We will go into a recess. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats, I'd like to resume the hearing. The time is 8 o'clock. This hearing is being held at Hostos Center for the Arts and Cultural, Main Theater, 450 Grand Concourse, Bronx, New York. At this time, there are no further public speakers registered, so that will conclude the MTA's public hearing on proposed fare increases and crossing charges. Thank you.